Do you anticipate having Brandon Harold back this week, or what is his timetable right now?
Well, it's still a ways away. He'll be a bit yet. I can't tell you exactly when. We're looking at, perhaps another 3 weeks.
And also, I noticed on the defensive front, I believe you have Fitzgerald moved to defensive end, and Hanson after the game mentioned that he had moved to defensive end earlier last week. And you have Calvin, and then Guidry is the consistent at defensive tackle. Can you talk about those switches and the thought process behind those and how they
Well,
Hanson
is, Hanson, young guy, has made 2 moves. We moved him from a linebacker to an interior defensive lineman. He was undersized, but he plays hard, got a great attitude. He's a competitive young guy. You just like his spirit, and young guys like that you like to have on the field. So, we were trying to find a place for him, and just realizing again that his size was a detriment to him, inside, and so we thought, hey, here's a guy that needs to be on the field because of his attitude and his approach to it. And defensive end is a little bit more to his physical capabilities in terms of, and surely in terms of size. So that allowed us then an opportunity to, I think, to give him, and he worked his way up. He competed at that spot. It wasn't, we didn't automatically make him a starter. He went over there and he worked at it, and improved himself, and got himself on the field. Fitz is probably always a defensive end, and we had Calvin out for a while, and so when we got him back, then it gave us the opportunity to probably have bigger guys inside and still keep Fitz on the field. As a defensive end, it gives us a little bit more size out there than what we had.
Is there a significant difference between the Carson that you see in practice and the one that you've seen in the first 2 games?
Well, I've seen both of them perform much better. So I know it's there. Again, that tells me, okay, it's, they've been there, they've done that. Now it's a matter of having the consistency that it takes to play the game well. It's not as though you're trying to reinvent the wheel with them. I've seen them. Certainly they have some limitations, but I've seen them perform much better than this previous set. Now, with that being said, again, Carson was a part of the second half evolution, that came about. It's probably 100 plus yards more of total offense. That doesn't make a difference in winning the ball game necessarily, but nevertheless, he was part of that. He was a little more efficient in the second half than he was in the first half. So when as our offense made improvement in the second half, he was a part of it.
Can you talk about how the dynamics of non-conference scheduling has maybe changed just in the last few years? I mean, playing back-to-back road games wasn't something we used to see with a great deal of frequency.
Well, I can't fault the scheduling for the fact that we didn't play well enough to win. But it's certainly not something that I would be a proponent of. I'm looking now at trying to piece together a UCLA schedule, which gets everybody back here at 6:30 Sunday, Sunday morning, which throws your time schedule out of kilter. I mean, I just wouldn't. I wouldn't be a proponent of making those kind of trips. And as I've said before, I think somebody asked me last week. My preference is to play home games in your non-conference schedule for a variety of different reasons. And one of the reasons is because of the impact that it has on the economy of Manhattan, and the business owners here. Cox Brothers served you the meal today, and Cox Brothers does extremely well on the weekends when 50,000 people or so come to watch ball games. So it benefits the entire community, and that was a big part 20 years ago in trying to piece together a schedule that allowed us to do that. It's a little more difficult now because most of those out on that they can command high dollar, you know, to come. So you have to look at the economics of it as well. But it's it's just, and I'm not saying, you know, that scheduling is right or wrong. It's just not what I would do or like to do.